Today there was a big case that went down in Baltimore where they had to dismiss 34 drug cases because cops were caught planting drugs on citizens. I'm going to show you another story. In fact, two more stories. I'm just going to briefly go over them and explain them to you. I used to live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Back in the 90s, ladies and gentlemen, there was a ring of cops in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania that planted drugs on innocent people. This was like a huge case back then. Okay, it was huge. They had to let 1,100 people go from prison. And these cops, they started planting drugs on innocent people back in the 80s. It caught up to them in the 90s. And they actually put these cops in jail for doing this. But they had to release 1,100 people. It's more common than uncommon. And here's NYPD. And this is an article that came out in 2011. And they admitted that cops regularly planted drugs on innocent people. So don't take on this attitude that cops should automatically be trusted. Number one, they have not earned their trust from the Black community at all. They have not earned one damn ounce of trust with us. So for you to make this assumption that they should be automatically trusted is just downright laughable. Let's get into this new article that just came out today, August 1st, 2017, Atlanta Black Star. Baltimore State Attorney discusses 34 cases after officer caught allegedly planting drugs. They have been doing this to Black people forever in this country. Most Black people are not in jail for violent crimes. Most of them are in jail for non-violent drug crimes, the kind of crime that caused harm only to themselves and no one else. And if Black people were as violent as you caucasoids claim, then why do you have to keep lying to get them in jail? There's an awful lot of lying going on to get Black folks in jail. And these all-white juries putting Black folks in jail, and then 10, 20, and 30 years later, they're innocent. For people to claim you are so great, you make an awful lot of fuck-ups. All right, let's get into this story. The credibility of 3 Baltimore officers have been called into question, prompting city officials to dismiss more than 30 criminal cases as an investigation into alleged evidence planting continues. Baltimore State Attorney Marilyn Mosby announced Friday, July 28th, that over 100 cases are now under review following the release of police body camera footage from a January arrest that appears to show an officer planting drugs at a crime scene. The Baltimore Sun reported she said 34 of the cases, which were all drug or gun related, would be thrown out, while 77 others are still being reviewed. 12 other cases were green-lit to move forward. Where these officers are material and necessary witnesses, we are dismissing those 34 cases, which rely exclusively on the credibility of these police officers, Mosby said. The video in question shows Officer Richard Pinheiro placing a soup can containing a bag of pills in a trash thrown lot, then going back to retrieve it. Fellow officer Jamil Bronson and Hafhans Simeon witness Pahiro allegedly hiding the drugs. Now, he was so dumb, he didn't even switch off his body cam. And believe me, they were smart to go back and check his cases, because if somebody does that once, you can best believe that's not the only time they have been planting drugs. He probably been planting drugs throughout his entire police career. I'm going to check here, Pahiro is heard saying on camera before he returns to the lot, recovers the soup can, and removes a plastic bag filled with tiny white pills. He was swiftly suspended, while Brunson and Simeon were placed on non-contract administrative duty. CNN reported that the Baltimore Police Department Internal Affairs Division is now investigating possible criminal wrongdoing, while the state's attorney's office is working to determine what role the officers' testimonies would play in prosecuting cases. We have attempted to identify alternative ways to prove those cases where there is independent. So they're just going back and reviewing this officer cases, those officers that were there when he planted drugs, which they should do. If they were smart, they need to review all of the entire police department, because I don't believe these three were the only shady cops there. As I stated before, it is incumbent upon, as prosecutors, to be the ministers of justice and to do what's right in pursuit of justice over convictions, while simultaneously prioritizing public safety. My problem is, why didn't you fire and jail these people? At this point, I don't see why anything needs to be investigated. You clearly saw this guy planting. He's not even bright enough to turn his body cam off. I guess that's his high IQ at work. So anyway, you can see this has been an ongoing problem in America in general. You can't keep demanding that people listen to cops and do everything cops say when cops have done so many shady things on the job that you just simply can't trust them. Okay, we can't always trust their instructions, because sometimes their instructions are the means of the instruction is to harm us even more. And we know that as Black people. But see, white folks act completely oblivious to it. But see, I'm not buying your "we love cop" acts, because there's too many videos showing showing white people, young and old, completely disrespecting cops. Not only do you verbally disrespect them, you physically disrespect them too. Y'all do things to cops that you should have clearly been in jail for, but because this is your rigged up society, you get away with it. You keep insisting that we are such horrible people, but yet, why are your cops doing so many shady things out in public? Why? If we're bad people, then what you arrest us for should stand for itself. Obviously, when drugs are being planted, ladies and gentlemen, it is because they are not getting the arrest that they want to get. So they have to fabricate a situation in order to get the arrest. See, crimes are not that high. See, whenever you got to fudge a situation, then crime is really not that high. They're lying about the whole thing. Crime has been going down in the Black community for the last 20 years. So all of these crimes that they're faking up is nothing more than that. Plus, when you look at the FBI statistics, you do not see crime going all over the top in the Black community. It's really going all over the place in the white community because it's always been bad in their community. And now on top of that, they got the drug use. Now you got the junkies out here committing all kinds of crimes for the drug. So clean up your own backyard before you start pointing at somebody else. It was a white cop that got caught planting drugs. And in many of these cases, they are white cops. In Philly, the 1,100 people that had to be released from jail, those were a ring of white cops. So if Black people are so awful, like you're saying, then why do your cops have to keep faking up a situation in order to get Black people arrested? See, this is why I don't listen to you. When you put all that black on black, I just erase it. I'm not going to listen to you because what I'm reading in statistics is not matching up with what you're saying. That's a problem. Please leave your comments and subscribe. And if you can, donate to my channel. And those of you that are moderators and you see this lunacy going on in the comment section with all this black on black, just erase that stuff. Okay? Just erase it because it's not factual. When you look at situations like this, the planting of the drugs, don't come here talking about no black on black crime and you got all these white cops out here planting drugs and then you got situation right here, NYPD saying it's done regularly. Get out of here. Don't come here with that nonsense. Peace, family.